Welcome back to the channel. Now, this channel has been in a hiatus state for a long time. The reason is just I've been busy. But if you give me 30 seconds, I'll try to explain to you why this might change and why everything might become relevant again. So without getting too much into details, because I do have a tendency of speaking a lot, and this is going to be a long form video like every other video, and there's a point to that. The reason it's long form is you can skip it, but I personally hate watching a video with somebody that mentions something where I go, that's interesting, I want to hear more about that, and then they just cut it off and never mention it again. So if I find something interesting, it's my channel, I'm just going to talk about it. Sorry, just skip ahead if you don't like it. But anyways, let's get going with the video. And thanks for watching, by the way. I run a company called Storyflight, and running this company, doing a lot of drone work, specialized drone work, indoors, outdoors, cinelifters, everything. I also do handheld camera work. I do color editing. I do everything basically. Just make commercials for medium to high-end clients alone. And doing this has taught me a lot about, well, everything basically. But what it never taught me about, what I never knew going into this, was just how complex it is to run your own business. One thing is just running your own business. Another thing is running it successfully, making money, and not dying from stress. That can be quite hard. So the reason I'm making this video right now is to kind of give you an insight into just one of the jobs which I'm heading home from right now. One of the jobs that I'm doing, which is a commercial for onboard zoo. So it's a zoo with animals and everything. And it's a 3-day job. So I'm originally driving there on Wednesday, sleeping there till Thursday, filming the first part Thursday, which is going to be handheld, then filming all the drone work on Friday. And this will probably give you a little bit of insight into, what did I bring with me, what are my thoughts about it, everything. But it's also just going to be a general intro to this whole behind the scenes that I want to do more of. So if you like this kind of stuff, let me know in some comments, and make sure that, like, subscribe, whatever, but make sure that you spread this video to somebody who needs it, because a lot of people out there really want to get their own business off the ground. And you can watch a lot of videos about how to fly a drone, how to work a camera, the right shutter speed, the white balance, whatever. But I haven't seen any videos out there that kind of shows you the whole thing, everything, all the gritty details about, how to do your accounting, how to best do a sales pitch, all these things that are inevitably a big part of running your own business, which is very, very difficult. So I hope you're gonna like the video, and without further ado, let's just roll it and see what you like. Thanks for watching. So the first rule of the road is eat healthy. I know, but this is my first burger in, I don't know, at least 3 hours. So been driving about 300 kilometers now, maybe a little less actually, 250 maybe. Going to look for a charging station. Not that I really need it, but I know that the hotel I'm arriving at is going to have a charger, but I want to make sure that it's going to be fine. Let's see, we've gotten to the part of Denmark that's called Jutland. It's been sort of on and off with the rain, but in general, it kind of looks like the weather is stabilizing a little bit. I'm crossing my fingers, not while I'm driving, that would be stupid, but cross my fingers that everything is going to be panning out. But let's find the charging station. So at the charging station right now, and it's pretty shitty. As you can see, there's a lot of water around. It's been a good drive so far. It's been very rainy, very bad. But I'm about an hour away now, an hour 20 minutes away from the final destination. Not the movie, because that would be scary, but from Aalborg Zoo. And yeah, let's just continue and see what happens. So finally arrived at the city of Aalborg in Denmark. I've never been here before actually, but it looks like a city. I'm about 3 minutes away. I've been debating with myself on the drive whether or not I should bring the camera into the zoo right away, but I don't think I'm going to do it because I haven't met these people before, and I feel it would send a wrong impression to just show up and begin talking to myself in English and all these things. So I want to be shocked for the first thing. Then I want to actually ask the guy if he's okay with me doing some behind the scenes stuff. So you won't be seeing anything today, but I guess we'll cut back to the hotel later and talk a little bit, and then hopefully tomorrow I can show you some behind the scenes. Come here, Misa. That was pretty interesting. Just got a show around of the whole zoo by Michael, who's my contact there. It was pretty cool. It's a very, very cozy place. It's not like some zoos have this giant, they have giant areas, and it just can seem very non-interactive in a sort of way, because the animals are so far away and everything looks a little bit, I don't know, distancy. It's weird to explain. But this actually looked very nice, looked very cozy and very warm in a sense. And they had some interesting ways of showing the animals. Now, as for the weather, I mean, I didn't want to be flying right now. We saw where the polar bears were and the tigers, and that one tiger that started, what do you call it, wheezing at me, something like that. Man, that's terrifying, standing that close to a tiger doing that, because you know that it's me it's doing it. It's not a bunch of people, it was just me. So for tomorrow, this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm a little bit scared because all of those places I have to fly down to the tigers and polar bears and everything requires me to sit in a spot where basically paying customers can come and go. Of course, this guy's going to be there to shield me. But then I have to basically take off with the drone and fly straight down into these pits where the animals are. And I mean, they have quite a lot of space, both on the in and the outside, but it's not a lot of space. And shit could go wrong. So I don't know. But we're going to see. It's not going to be tomorrow. I'm going to be doing this. It's going to be Friday. So I might skip tomorrow because it might not be that interesting to watch me go and film some stuff. But yeah. Now I'm out hunting for some food because we need food. I only had that one cheeseburger all day. And then back to the hotel where I'm going to, and this is something I always do, I'm going to review some of the footage I took today, even though it's just straight off, shaky footage and something where I just shot something. I still want to make sure that the focus is on the right level, that everything seems right, that I can color grade it correctly and so on and so forth. Because you definitely don't want to take a chance with these things and come home afterwards and figure out that everything's wrong. So that's the homework for tonight. And then tomorrow it's filmy. So yeah, let's get some ready. I was recommended a good pizzeria, but there's no parking spaces within like a mile. And I could eat my own hand by now. It's so frustrating sometimes being in bigger cities and they don't have parking spaces enough. If I don't eat soon, I'm gonna kill somebody. I should have grabbed the bird at the zoo. Got me some pizza. All right, let's head back to the hotel and actually eat some of it. I'm starving. So, at the hotel right now, everything went really good today, actually. But I want to show you guys something because, I mean, this is the hotel room. It's nice, actually. Quite a cool feature. Has a secondary bathroom with a bathtub in it. Never seen that before. So what I'm doing now is I'm preparing for tomorrow. I just reviewed the footage from basically filming today. So I want to grab my FX3, which is using the 24-70 GM2 lens. This is my favorite camera. I love this, and this is a really good lens. And then not going to be using this bad boy. But we're going to be using this instead, which is the Sony FE 2.8 70-200 GM version 2. Also very good lens, because by doing that, I'm basically having coverage from 24 millimeters all the way up to 200 millimeters. And in a place like the zoo tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of people, and it's just going to be, it could be madness. It could be a lot of, let's do this, let's do that, and I want to be really fast. So I want to show you something. Now I'm turn this around so I can see what I'm doing. I'm using this bag. We have to open this from this angle, but this is a think tank bag. Now, this no sponsoring or anything. I just really like this bag. It's very hefty made, and you could fit everything in there. So, for instance, today I was actually fitting this in there, just like that. And when I am using this whole compartment for that one lens, I can actually use these side pockets for a camera, as I can demonstrate here. I can take my Sony A1 and just pop it down there and lock. And I can do the same over here. I also have side bags. But the beautiful thing about this bag is that for tomorrow, where I want things to be a little bit fast, I'm going to divide this whole thing down here with chambers. So I have some separation things I can put in. So I'm just going to have my FX3 there. Just going to have my 70-200 there. And then I'm actually going to add a 14 millimeter ultra wide Sony GM as well down here. I think it's 14 or is it 18? I don't remember. But add that down here. This means that I can have this bag hanging over my shoulder and just flip it up to the side and actually open and work from the back all the time. But there's even more, because normally I have my fillers down here. I actually took these out right now. And then over here, we have another thing that I'm going to be using tomorrow, which is the Insta360 1-inch sensor. But in order to use that one correctly, or as I want to use it at least, I have hidden down, let's see, something that I'm really happy to be able to hide inside this, which is the 3-meter long carbon rod for it. So that's really impressive that this bag holds everything. And actually, there's one more trick to it, because this space right here is for a laptop. And I can actually fit either my iPad Pro 12.9 inch, or I can fit like my MacBook over there. So all in all, a bag like that is a really valuable tool, because one of the worst things in life is when you're out doing these jobs is that you just run around and you have something in one bag and something in another bag, and then you forget something. And so tomorrow we're going to be handheld filming everything, which means that I'm going to be bringing this one bag and absolutely nothing else. I might actually bring the DJI Mini Pro 3, because if for some reason we're ahead of schedule and everything, it could be quite fun to bring that one out and just play with it. Let's see. But the rest of the night tonight is a bit of I'm hiding in the shadows. Rest of the night is just hanging out. Basically, I've reviewed some of the footage. It looked pretty good. I'm not too scared about getting focus on the animals, and yeah, it's just work basically. So now I'm just gonna hang out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good morning. So at the site again. We're about to get ready. Today it's just going to be handheld filming. We're going to take this lovely car with room for some equipment, not a lot, but a bag with some big lenses and another bag with some other lenses and stuff. So I might not have a lot of time to film today, but I will be pulling out the camera every once in a while, so let's see how it goes. So it's lunchtime. We've been all around the park having some interesting shots with and without kids and a lot of animals. Also tried flying with the Mini 3 into the polar bear den, which was quite cool. They seemed interested, but yeah, but now it's lunchtime. Just got back to the hotel, and it was a good day, but it was a hard day. But there were some interesting things actually. At one point, we went up to say hi to the orangutans, which were at the top of like a huge cage they had. And on the way up there, this was just to greet them and just say hi, basically. Nothing we were going to be using for something. But on the way up there, the guy says, "Oh, by the way, he's very camera shy." And I was like, yeah, it's a monkey. I mean, come on. But he was really camera shy. He was very aware of the camera. Basically, I was holding my camera. Let's say that this is the lens. I was holding it like this. I was just greeting him, just saying, "Hey, how are you?" And then slowly I went like that. And the second I did that, he just went away and he hit. He was like, "Whoa, I don't want to be looking at you." So in the end, I actually had to put down the camera and show him my open hands, And then he came over, ate peanuts, and we became best friends. And we're going to start up a small guild in World of Warcraft if any of you guys want to join. Right now, I'm actually looking at some of the material today because the hero of the day today wasn't the camera. The camera is always performing well, but it was actually this guy. Let's see if we can grab it. So the Mavic Pro Mini 3. I've used this tons of times before, but this is a really good drone. I mean, everyone should have this one basically because number one, it shoots adequately good quality, but number two, more importantly, it's silent. It's so silent. So we actually did a test with this regarding the polar bears, because the thing is, I really want to jump at the chance of flying with FPV down to the tigers, to the lions, and to the polar bears. But at the same time, it's one of those places where you have to fly over and then you have to fly down. So first of all, I don't know if my connection is going to go. Secondly, it's in an open park. Let me sit down here instead of carrying you. It's in an open park, which means that if there's a problem, let's say that I crash or something, they will actually have to close that exhibit and somehow lure away the animals and then go retrieve the drone, which would be such a bad idea. Not to mention what would happen if some of them bit into like the LiPo battery. That wouldn't be good. So the material I got today from this, it's not as dynamic as an FPV drone, but then again, you shouldn't use an FPV drone just because you want to use it. I think that this little guy actually did very well. He did the job. He caught some really good material, and it felt safer to fly with it in the sense that I could always get away. If I lost signal, it would go up, go back, and so on and so forth. And again, the noise factor. They looked at it a few times, but most of the time they just didn't care it was there. So tomorrow is going to be the big drone day, and I brought like everything. Well, not everything. I think I brought 8 drones or something, because I didn't know basically what was going to happen. But I'm probably going to end up using that one for most, and then maybe the Mavic 3 Cine Pro for a few shots, and then hopefully when we get to the giraffes and everything, which is in a big open field, I think I'll be able to fire up some FPV and just take it slow and see how they react. And yeah, but for now, the plan is to review the material from today, which has been handheld mostly, and then also some Insta360. We did a test today. Once I've done that, I can basically I can basically evaluate if there's anything tomorrow we need to shoot. Because tomorrow, I mean, right now the weather's okay. I don't know if you guys can see it. But tomorrow is going to be sunshine and really good weather. But that's another thing. Sunshine and really good weather is not always what you want. Today was actually a good day because it had some sun, but it also had like a bunch of clouds, as you can see. And those clouds, they tend to act like a huge light box, a soft box, just giving soft light, which is very good. Whereas if you have super harsh sunshine, even with ND filters on, it looks harsh. It can look very bad. So I'm gonna review some material and see you guys later. Yeah, I mean, take a look at this footage. This is straight from the Mini 3 with just a little bit of color grading on. Now it looks blown out on this camera, but it's not. It's a really nice footage. So yeah, that Mini 3 is badass. So, I've been sitting reviewing some of the footage right now, and it looks pretty good. But I want to show you guys some interesting stuff, because the Insta360, it's really a hidden gem. So now this is, as you can see here, there's a lot of dots right here. So for those of you that don't know, the idea of the Insta360 is that it's a 360 camera, meaning that you can pan around the image and do whatever. We're standing down here, and this is on a 3-meter long pole. Then you can put these small markers in. And what these markers do is just simply, let's see here, the red one is speed up and the blue one is speed down, and then it renders a motion blur, and all the yellow points are just keyframes. So if we just play this, now this is definitely not finished. This is just a really fast preview for me while I'm sitting here. Actually, let's take file number 2 here. So let's play this. Now, everything here has been animated, so I'm just going to use small snippets of this, but this is quite cool, actually. and the quality of it is pretty good. Of course, when I get back home, I need to fix out some of the janky keyframes and everything. Let's see, there's another one here. I think this one was pretty cool as well. Mainly the ending of it is pretty cool, like this, and the jump right there. So yeah, I mean, with this it's the 360 compared to the early versions of it. I actually think the quality is quite good. This what you're looking at right now is it's D-Log version, which is a kind of raw version. For those of you that don't know what that means, is that basically when you record something like with your phone, it's a baked image. It has everything baked in, much like what I'm doing right now. I'm not going to alter this image once I get home. This is just what it's going to look like. But when you record something for professional use, you want to record it as flat as you can, so the colors will be a little dull and everything. And that way, once you put it into your rendering program or editing program, you can add colors to it separately. But yeah, I thought this was really interesting actually, and I will definitely suggest to these guys tomorrow that we do some more with it, because I haven't used the Insta360 that much on a job yet. But from what I'm seeing here, it's really good actually. Reminds me, I did actually use this for another job. I want to show you something interesting, because now I do a lot of drone work, but in this case, I had to film something as exciting as lamps for a customer. And this is done with the Insta360 and not a drone. So have a look at this. There's of course music to it, but I won't give you that right now. And this is color graded and fine-tuned and everything. But there's no way you could have done that with a drone. Also, the cool thing about this is that all it took was a 3-meter long pole and just waving it around basically, and then just doing some heavy editing work for it afterwards. So yeah, interesting. I thought you might like it. Good morning. So it's about 7:30 in the morning. Weather looks pretty nice, and I'm going in for the last day of filming all these animals at the zoo. Whoa, that got dark. Now, I did discover something yesterday when I was reviewing the footage that I haven't talked about, which I thought might be interesting. So, basically, every lens on every camera has a sensor, of course. We all know this. But even though before I started filming yesterday, I always check my sensors, and I even did a sensor cleaning. For some reason, I was changing lenses a lot during the day, but for some reason, when I got back home and I reviewed the footage, I actually had a hair on my sensor, meaning that out of, I don't know how many shots, let's say 40 shots out of maybe 200 or 200 plus shots, I had this thing here. I'll put in a video right now so you can see the example where you can clearly see a hair, and it's pretty bad because you never want to get home and discover this. But the takeaway from this, and why I'm explaining to you guys it, is that even though I normally bring external monitors to my camera, I didn't bring it on this because I knew I was going to be one man in doing all of this. So the more you have to carry, the harder it is, of course, right? So I didn't bring that here, and I was very careful actually. I always do, like, the first film I do on a set is I film something white, like a wall, and that way you can clearly see if something's on the sensor. The problem here is I only did that at the beginning, and the day just unfolded and we were busy shooting and everything. So yeah, that's not good, which means that today we're actually going to have to redo some of those takes. Luckily, of course, and I always plan for this, we do have extra time today, because today we're going to be filming with drones only, so we're going to bring the camera on the side and we're going to just go and redo some of those shots. But in the future, after this experience at least, and this first time it's happened to me in a little over 3 years, I'm definitely going to bring an extra monitor just to make sure that I can see that, because on the small monitor I even ran the footage afterwards on it. It's just impossible to see, even if you look very careful, which I always do. So yeah, I think that's maybe a good tip. Always have an external monitor, and if you swap lenses a lot, maybe sometimes during the shoot, just stop, film something white, look for hairs, everything like that. So everything is packed up now. This is the last day. We're gonna go fly with drones, and definitely not gonna bring this because there's gonna be a lot of stress. But I hope I'm gonna get some good shots, and I'll see you guys on the way home. So everything's been pretty good so far. We just flew through a baobab tree and around some giraffes with the FPV. That was pretty good. I just wanted to show you guys what I brought with me. We got the Mavic 3 Cine FX2, long lens 24-70. Then we have a Insta360 over here. Got a bag full of batteries. And we got a Mini 3 somewhere here, which has been very good for this. And then we have this. And this system is something I want to get back to in another video. I'm using the Milwaukee pack-out system, which is just genius. So these two are actually attached together. So yeah, anyway, back to the job. So now we're done with the task. Right, done with the task, about to head home. This was a long trip, but it was quite fun. Ended up using the FPV drone near some giraffes and stuff, and in general we ended up just using the Mavic Mini 3 and then the Mavic 3 Pro Cine version, which was actually quite cool. I mean, it handles so nicely. It does make a lot of noise, and a lot of the animals were initially a little bit, you know, they noticed the drone definitely, but at the same time, that 3x zoom and even the 7x zoom is just invaluable. With a 3x zoom, for instance, where the tigers were, I was able to film the mother and her cubs from a distance where she sometimes forgot the drone was there, and sometimes she was definitely looking for it. But that was a big help, because had I only had a 24mm lens like on the traditional Mavic 3 usable, that would have been a nightmare, because you don't want to get too close to these guys, or they can jump pretty far. And from the look of her when she saw the drone, I'm pretty sure she would have just gone for it if I had gotten any closer. So I think all in all, this was a huge success. We got a lot of shots that are going to be really nice. No accidents, no nothing. It was just fun. Now a 4-hour trip home, maybe actually even 5 hours, and we'll see what happens. So let's do a post review of basically the whole thing, the whole trip. This is going to be pretty long, but I'm assuming some of you want to hear it. It was a pretty good experience. Preparing for this, I had some wildly different ideas of what it was going to be. The zoo that hired me originally wanted me to do a lot of FPV work, and I said straight away, don't be too sure about this, because honestly, it has to be safe for the animals. It has to be not a problem, because the park is open, there's going to be people there, and let's see if we can even do it, because a lot of what they suggested involved, you know, being on ground level and then flying into a pit with lions or tigers or whatever. And honestly, flying into a pit means that signals, if you don't know, from a transmitter goes straight out and up. So if you're flying below something, you lose signal very quickly. I found out this the hard way on one of my first gigs ever, where I had to follow a car, and the car was flying. You know, I tested my signal before, and I had like, I don't know, 4 or 5 kilometers good range. And then this car was, you know, just driving away from me. I was chasing it, and then I flew in front of it, but I was only like 50 or 60 meters away. But since I was at ground level, it was just like that, and I lost all signal. And luckily, the car missed me by this much. So that was pretty interesting. So going into this job, I kind of knew that there were two things I had to film. I had to film handheld stuff, and I had to film drone work. So for the handheld stuff, I used the gear that I already shown, and I've already told you guys about the hair on the sensor and everything. So, but that was pretty easy. I mean, handheld is pretty easy. It's not easy making something good, because you still have to be alive and think about what you're filming and so on. And a general good tip about this is, if you're filming with a good camera, and a good camera, I mean something that films 4K, something that films either raw or close to raw quality, then always try to never film close to stuff. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 2 children pressed against the window looking at a tiger. You could zoom in or jam the camera close to them, so you only get like half their faces and then the tiger or lion or whatever they're looking at, which makes for a good picture. But the problem is that once you deliver this, somebody's definitely going to go, that looks nice. Can you make it in square, or can you make it in portrait? And then you're just SOL basically, because you can't zoom anymore. Then you're just going to have the tiger and nothing else. But when you have a good quality camera, you can always film so you have extra space. And that's why whenever I film something, I always have a safe margin that allows for a lot of extra space around. And I film looking at that safe margin. So I have like the frame here, and then I have a smaller frame in that frame where I try to compose all my pictures. Because then I know if they later ask for a portrait version or a square version, I can definitely deliver that. Now, the drone work, on the other hand, was quite tricky. I used the Mavic Mini 3 Pro first with the polar bears. And I did this specifically because I wanted a drone that didn't make as much noise. I really wanted something that was low noise, just to see how they reacted. And they were fine with it. And it produces pretty good images. Plus, it's a drone that's pretty easy to control. It feels very maneuverable, and you feel like you can get away quite fast. So that was pretty good. The second time, and the last time I think I used it, was with the spider monkeys, because they were up in these tall trees, and I actually wanted to do some FPV there, but at the same time it wasn't necessary, because the idea here is to create some content of the animals doing what the animals do, and in some cases making them interested in the drone. And the FPV drone, well, these monkeys were pretty wild. They were very interested in stuff, but the problem is that one of them could actually leap out and try to grab it, because they had apparently done stuff like that before. So that was just too big of a chance to take it. There's no point in taking that chance. The rest of the time I used the Mavic 3 Pro Cine, which was quite a challenge because sorry, that drone doesn't come with a C1 certificate. So there are some safety rules to adhere to. Mainly, you have to keep a really good distance to people. But at the same time, if you fly below 5 kilometers an hour, I believe, that distance shrinks radically right now. But we had a lot of spaces within the suit to take off and just fly over those spaces, so we didn't have people underneath or near. And once we were in the places where, for instance, where the elephants were, where the giraffes were and everything, people were far away, so there was no problem there. The next challenge was, how would the animals feel about the noise? And let me tell you, that 3x and 7x zoom on that camera is a lifesaver. And not only that, it's actually groundbreaking for something like this. Because of course you can get an Inspire 2 or an Inspire 3 with, a massive zoom lens on. But when you do that, you are also in a completely different category of drone, and also in a completely different category of noise, basically. So having the Mavic 3 Pro Cine, it was just really, really good. I mean, I got some shots of the lion mother and her cubs that I just wouldn't have gotten with any other drone. But also in the example of the elephants, I could fly in there and just fly very low to the ground and even look up a little bit with the camera and continue to fly around because of the 360 sensors that actually do work very, very well on the Mavic 3 line. And I could swap from going 1x zoom, so 24mm, which is sometimes the right, if you want to show how big the elephants are and you want to show the enclosure and you want to show people in the background but not have them in focus, 24mm is great. But at the same time, within a few seconds, I could swap over to a 70mm, which compresses the image. That means that the elephants become less round. So let me actually explain that to some of you that don't know. Take your iPhone, if you have an iPhone or Android, whatever. On the iPhone, there's typically two different cameras. There's a wide camera and there's a tele camera. If you take a picture of yourself, so not a selfie, but flip the phone around, so like you would with a normal picture, try to take a picture of yourself from about a meter away with the wide camera. Then try to have a friend take a picture where your face is the same size in the frame, but this time they take it with a telephoto lens, which means a slightly zoomed lens. And then have a look at how your head looks like. Because at the wide angle, your face and everything becomes more round. But once you use a tele, it becomes more square. And believe it or not, the square version looks better on people. So right now I'm using a 20mm. If I had filmed this in 35 or 50mm and was able to put the camera further away, I would look so much better than I do right now. And this goes for animals too, and everything else. Goes for cars, everything else. That's why when people are talking about the Mavic 3 Pro Cine, they're saying that the 70mm camera is just the best thing ever. And that's because it really does zoom and compress the whole image. So it gives you a different quality to what you're looking. It looks more filmic, it looks more, well, not more real. It looks more expensive in a way. It just looks better. So having these lenses on that camera or on that drone is just invaluable. The reason I got the Mavic 3 Pro Cine and not just the Mavic 3 Pro is because of ProRes. Now ProRes allows you to record in a RAW format, more or less, so you have more to play with when it comes to color grading. And in general, I would have to say that the Mavic 3 Pro is just good enough. I have just the Mavic 3 in the Cine version, just the normal one, and it's fantastic. But honestly, I've never been able to tell a real difference between the ProRes and the H.265 264. But on the Mavic 3 Pro Cine, it has a zoom camera that is 135 millimeters or 7 times the zoom, and that particular camera is only able to record in 10-bit and ProRes on the Cine version. That's why I got that version, because that camera is actually very, very useful. And it's not as good of a camera as the others, but having 10-bit instead of 8-bit and having ProRes instead of not having ProRes somehow clears up the image just enough for you to actually make it passable. It really does look good enough to use in almost everything. So that's basically what I want to say about that whole thing with the drones and the choices and everything. That's my drone choices for this mission. I think it was a couple of pretty good choices. The other thing I really want to mention to you guys, which I think is a very good tip, is I was filming this in a public park. Well, not public, you have to pay to get in, but in a park where you have paying customers. I asked the company to put up a sign that said, "Today we're flying with drones. Please ask us if you have any questions." And this had to be a visible, pretty big sign at the entrance. And normally when I fly in anywhere, and you guys know this if you fly drones yourself, people come and ask you about the most stupid things ever while you're flying. Or they get angry, or even if you're sitting with a vest on, or somebody is next to you that clearly works at that place, they're gonna come and go like, "Do you know that you cannot fly in this area? Do you have permits? Just shut up, I know what I'm doing." But in this case, it was quite interesting because of that sign. When I was flying, I was sitting where people actually go by. I was sitting in the middle of traffic where people were walking by with dogs and strollers and babies and everything. The only thing I heard all day was, "Oh, that's the drone they were talking about. Oh, look at that. Wow." People were interested in it. And they completely accepted that I was flying there and nobody asked me a question. And I thought that was pretty interesting because on the forums, there's a lot of talk about, the annoyance of people, reporting to you or asking if you have permits and all these things. I can't help think that maybe in the future in my missions, I won't just be having a vest on or having something else. I might actually ask the place where I film to put up a sign that says, "Today we're flying with drones," if possible. Even have that sign standing next to me, because for some reason, this seemed to work much better than a vest that says drone pilot on it. I don't know why, but I found that very interesting actually. Anyways, that's enough ranting from me. I still have 4 hours of driving. I think I'm gonna slap on a podcast and just chill for a little bit. Anyways, hope you learned something, and if not, sorry, I guess. I don't know.